Previously on the last Pokémon Crystal challenge run. Or he can just not bother to heal because he knows his fate anyway. And coming up, she's a liar, but she's not a liar with the flyers. Welcome back to 4 Moves. This is the series where we grab a Pokemon, we give it 4 moves, and we see just how long it takes us to defeat Red. Sometimes we have an absolute blast and get through incredibly quickly, and other times we're like Team Rocket and we are blasting off again. Today we are going to be running WEEZING. Now WEEZING's a really interesting Pokemon to me because it's got so much coverage, and we're going to be taking full advantage of that in this challenge. Of course, to get us started in 4 moves, we need to pick our moves, so I'll let you know what I've chosen. And now for this one, I reckon we're going to go mostly for a special attacking WEEZING. We are going to have Sludge Bomb in slot number 1 though, that's going to be our main move, it's going to be our only stab move as well. And then in the rest of the slots, we'll start off with Hidden Power. I've gone for Hidden Power Ice here because we learn both a fire and an electric type move. And you'll never guess what's going in slots 2 and 3 after I've just said that. We are going to put Flamethrower in slots number 3. And then in slot number 4, we are going to put Thunderbolt. And I think those 4 moves in tandem will see us fit through most of the challenge. So with that, let us take a look at our stats. We are level 5 with 23 HP, holding a berry with Sludge Bomb, Hidden Power Ice, Flamethrower and Thunderbolt, 15 in attack, 18 in defense, 15 in special attack, 13 in special defense, and 12 in speed. And now, after realising that 3 o'clock in the morning was probably a bad time to start recording the challenge, we are off on our journey on the very next day. Now, I do think that WEEZING is going to be a fairly smooth ride. We have a lot going for us with this Pokemon. We've got quite high attack, quite high special attack, we've got decent defences. We are lacking a little bit in the speed departments, but we can make up for that with things like the Quick Claw. And because we're not running Supermon, we are able to take resets. It was actually a bit of a toss-up between doing Supermon and doing 4 moves for WEEZING. I've decided in the end to do 4 moves, just because I'm not 100% confident with WEEZING on Supermon yet. Although it is one of the Pokemon I will be targeting hopefully later in the year. Now, if you do enjoy 4 moves or any of the other series here on the channel, you can always subscribe to make sure you're notified of any videos as and when they do come out. They're normally about 3 times a week, and if you want to see the videos literally as soon as they are done, rendered and uploaded, you can always join the channel membership and become a HM friend. And with that, we are ready for the first rival battle. The rival is going to have the Totodile line in this particular challenge, and we are going to use Thunderbolt, and we are going to one-shot. Very nice stuff. There's really not much we could do for the rival here. Could potentially have given him the Cyndaquil line, but it's going to be much of a muchness, so really there's no point in bothering with the rival making it any easier or any harder. The only Pokemon I wouldn't give is Chikorita because that is super effective stab. And I have a feeling, you know, that in the initial challenge that we did with WEEZING, the rival had Totodile. I could be wrong with that though, because it has been many moons since we last ran WEEZING together here on the channel. It has been far too long. Now, we do have a bit of a leg up compared to our last challenge with Tauros, because Tauros was in the slow experience group, and we are in medium fast today. That does mean that in the early game, kind of counterintuitively, it's going to take us a little while to get our levels, but by the time we get towards Lance and the Kanto part of the section, we will be racing through those levels. So I reckon by the time we are at Red, we should be in the high 60s at the very least, maybe even the low 70s for our levels, which should hopefully be more than enough to take care of most of his Pokemon. The only Pokemon I'm really worried about in this entire challenge is his Espeon. The rest can be brute forced fairly easily. I think Sludge Bomb is going to make fairly light work of the Snorlax as well. We've just got to hope that we don't poison it though, because if we poison that Snorlax, he will get caught in a bit of a rest loop, and that really can drain your time. Now we are into our first gym already. You can see that we don't outspeed the Spearow there, And that is going to be a bit of a theme throughout this challenge. We're not going to be outspeeding certain key trainers, so we're just going to have to hit them twice as hard when they come for us. Let us now take on Falkner. He's our first gym leader together. Flying type specialist leads with Pidgey. We use Sludge Bomb the Pidgey and it goes down in one. Let us use the Thunderbolt and hope for the best. Not quite a one-shot, but we can knock it out in 2. Falkner is down, and we get our first badge, the Zephyr badge, in 3 minutes and 42 seconds. Not bad going, considering we had quite a few wild encounters at the very beginning of the challenge. Now we're going to do a very quick PP heal, because Sludge Bomb's only got 10 power points, and instead of getting the egg, of course, we get the escape rope here in 4 moves. In case you're new to the channel, we run HM items as opposed to HM friends here on this channel. That just means we have consistency throughout all of our different challenge formats, because we do plenty of different things here in Pokémon Crystal. And also, how rude of me, welcome along if it is your first time, and welcome back if you have seen our videos together here before. Whether you're new or whether you are a long-standing viewer, please do know you are definitely appreciated. And with that, we are already in the Union Cave. We are racing through here. And you know what? Because we've got Hidden Power Ice, we might as well take the experience from these trainers here. We'll get a lot of experience points from Daniel's Onyx, and then we can also take on Russell's 3 Geodude here, all with a single Hidden Power Ice apiece, and that will get us through fairly quickly. Now, in terms of the 4 moves, we have committed to them, and we are not allowed to change them throughout the course of this challenge. I was actually considering going for Psybeam instead of Hidden Power Ice, but then I thought Lance would be an absolute blooming nightmare if we didn't have something that's quad super effective against his Dragonite, so we should be having quite a good time there. But we are going to be struggling with certain Pokemon, I reckon, who resist the poison type and who also are fairly specially bulky. So we've got to watch out for those throughout the course of this challenge. I'm hoping that we'll have enough bits and pieces together with our learn set that it won't be too much of an issue. Now here in Azalea, we're going to pick up some repels. Let's get 9. Just in case we do any funky movement, and then we'll spend the rest of our money on some super potions, save having to go into the Pokemon Center, and we can go into the Slowpoke Well, where we are going to try and beat up all of these rockets in double quick time. Everything in Slowpoke Well so far has been a one-shot, barring the Ekans. Ekans is one of those lines where we don't really have anything too great for it, so it did end up being a 2-shot, and we ended up being wrapped as well. Probably going to be a 2-shot on this Coughing as well, but a pair of Thunderbolts will knock it out. And after defeating this final rocket, Kurt miraculously heals his back. He seems to be taking lessons from Jasmine in terms of telling truth there, and we can move in to our second gym together. This is Bugsy's Bug-type gym, and we should have a fairly easy ride of it throughout here. There's not going to be much that can stand in our way. We've got Flamethrower if things get really desperate, but for the most part, I am going to try and use moves that aren't super effective, just to save on a little bit of extra text. It doesn't seem like much, but when you do 100 or so battles each challenge, that can easily add up to about a minute or so that you are saving if you're able to one-shot without a super effective text box. But then again, there are some Pokemon like this Beedrill that absolutely need to have a super effective flamethrower to the face, and it's the easiest way to make it go down. Now, spare a thought for poor Paris here. Once again, it is in a situation where it cannot withstand our heat, and we can move on now to Bugsy, our second gym leader together. Bug-type specialist leads with Metapod, and on this battle, we're just going to ignite everything. We're not going to take any risks at all. We want to set fire to the place. We want to set fire to Bugsy as well if we can. And look at that. Very easy gym battle there. Getting ourselves the Hive badge in 8 minutes and 32 seconds. 450 for the Bugsy split is not bad at all, considering there were a few 2-shots in there. Let's go straight away to Rival 2 now. We've got enough power points to see us through. He's going to lead with Ghastly. We will summon the God of Thunder on Ghastly and we'll knock it out in 1. We'll then use another Thunderbolt on the Zubat. And for the Croconaw, why not Thunderbolt again? Didn't quite one-shot, but we can get rid of it in 2. There we go, Rival 2 all defeated. No issues at all there. Wouldn't have expected anything less from our WEEZING there, and that means we can traverse our way through the forest. So we will get ourselves the Scythe as well as HMO1. HMO1 is just taking up bag space there, it's not really doing anything useful. However, the Scythe lets us get through the tree. We'll say a quick hello to the green haired man staring at the tree there, and we'll pick up the pair of ethers here. Find these ethers very, very useful in the middle part of the challenge, where we are trying to preserve our power points as much as possible. Random Abra there, and we're absolutely going to take on Gina today. She's going to be incredibly good early game experience for us. Should get up to about 19.5 courtesy of her Pokemon if we are able to knock them all out in one, just like that. And then today I think we're going to try and dodge that trainer there, but we will take on Camperton with his Psyduck. Should be a nice and simple one-shot. We'll use Thunderbolt to guarantee the one-shot. And with that, we are already in Goldenrod. We're going to do our standard Goldenrod routing here, so that means we start off with a quick PP heal to make sure that our teleport spot is set to Goldenrod City. Then we're going to grab the bike so that we can move in double quick time, and we're going to register that straight away. And then it's a trip into the underground. We're going to take on these two mandatory trainers. You've got to take them on at some point in the course of the challenge. And we choose to take them on now, so that when we're doing the Rocket Hideout section in Goldenrod later on, we can conserve our power points a little bit better, because these are fairly easy battles, but you have 6 Pokemon to get through, and that 6 PP could see you through to the very end of the underground section of that Rocket Hideout. So we make sure to do them now, so that we then don't have to do a double menuing later to pick stuff up from the bag. We'll get the coin case at the same time. We'll escape rope out of here, and then we're going to get our rental Abra. This functions exactly the same as our regular Abra. The only difference is we get to it from the bag as opposed to from the party menu. And with that, it's time for a trip up north. We've got to go forward to go back to go forward here in Generation 2. It's very annoying, but it is what it is. We do need to pick up a couple of items, actually, while we are going up this way. We're going to take on our standard 3 trainers on this route. We take on Picnic Kim, then Camper Ivan, and then we're also going to take on Fire Breather Walt as well. Fire Breather Walt is fantastic for early game experience, because in Generation 2, the Bumphead Fireduck line is, of course, fully evolved. So look at all of that. That's a quarter of a level from each of those, maybe even a third of the level if you combine them. We don't want to battle Juggler Irwin, he's an absolute pain in the bum. So instead we will go and grab ourselves the Quick Claw here, and when we menu again, we will put it on. Now I'm going to take a risk here, and I'm going to say oh hi Mark, and see what we can do here. Hopefully we'll be able to get a bunch of one-shots, and we're going to conserve one of our sludge bombs as well for the Tangela. I do like taking on Mark and Alan here. I think they're very good early game experience. Once again, Alan's got a fully evolved Pokemon in this generation that does gain an evolution later on, but we are going to take full advantage of it being fully evolved in Generation 2 by getting an awful lot of experience points. We'll put the rental Abra up there so that we can teleport back, and because we're out of sludge bombs, we will go and do a quick heal. And I did forget, didn't I, to stick on the old Quickie C here. That's going to be glued onto our WEEZING, at least for the first part of this challenge. And now if we can get in the door of Whitney's gym, we'll be able to face her. But sometimes, you know, the movement isn't quite there. I'm not feeling fully awake yet. I've been awake for about 4 or 5 hours, and it's just not happening today. Having a bit of a sleepy day, but I am persevering with this challenge. Let's now take on Whitney. She's going to be our 3rd gym leader together today. She's a normal type specialist, led with Clefairy that's already gone down. Probably going to be a 2 or 3 shot here on the cow. We get the 3 shot, but it's turning out to be a 4 shot because she ended up using Milk Drink, because she's a little bit horrible like that, isn't she? Never mind, we only lost about 5 seconds there because of her milk drinking ways. And we get the plain badge in 13:36. Always like getting the plain badge in under 15 minutes, so 13:36 is not to be sniffed at all. Now we've got to speak to the eavesdropping so-and-so here, get the squirty bottle, and we'll do another very quick PowerPoint heal before making our way north. Now, I've been doing a little bit of thinking, and I reckon our standard Ecruteak routing, the new one that we're doing, is going to be the best idea. So we'll be taking on the Kimono Girls after we have beaten up Psychic Greg. We have Sludge Bomb and it's a one-shot, so we can take that Drowsy's experience today. And we're going to completely avoid Ecruteak's Pokemon Center. In case you're not aware, Bill has a very long cutscene in there that takes an awful long time to get through and waste your time, and there's no need to go into Ecruteak's Pokemon Center whatsoever. With a little bit of clever movement, we can bypass it entirely, so that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm very glad as well there that we one-shot the Espeon rather. We have managed to poison this Umbreon, so we'll use a Thunderbolt, save our PP for Sludge Bomb, and we'll take on all of these Kimono girls actually. We should have something half decent for each and every one of them. Ooh, that wasn't a one-shot, oh dear. Was kind of expecting a one-shot with Thunderbolt there. Does just show that we are running fairly low leveled, because we are in medium fast, of course, which is counterintuitive because it's slow at the beginning of the challenge. But we have now got ourselves HMO3, and more importantly, we've got the raft. That means we can sail across the open seas once we have Morty's badge. A little bit of a way to go until we get Morty's badge, though, because we're going to be going to a whole other town first. We are going to take on Olivia and probably Norman as well. I reckon they'll both be one-shot, so they should be fairly easy to take on. And they provide half-decent experience, both in terms of actual experience points and a bit of the old stat experience as well. Do remember though, in Generation 2, stat experience does not count for special defense. Your special stat experience is all in one. So you should not be targeting those specially defensive Pokemon. I'm thinking Pokemon like Mantine and Tentacruel. They will not give you the best stat experience for your Pokemon because that special defense is just a wasted slot. Once again, we're going to reunite the married couple here. And because we've got Thunderbolt, I feel okay taking on this Sailor. I find that having something super effective to water around Olivine City, I suppose it's kind of intuitive actually, isn't it? Because we are next to the sea, but having something super effective against water is very, very handy around these parts. So having Thunderbolt on the learn set is a very useful move. Now that we are in here, we're going to go into the Pokemart. We will buy ourselves 12 Super Repels. That's half of our Repels done now, and we'll go and get Strength now, so that we don't forget it later. The amount of times where I think I'll save the extra 2 seconds by getting Strength on our second pass through of Olivine and then completely forgetting about it means that we get it now for a little bit of security. And now we can start ascending the lighthouse, and I've got to say, whoever designed this really does need to go back to architect school with where they've placed all the stairs in here. Like, to get up to the very top of the lighthouse, you've got to break your ankles by falling through a hole in the floor. That does not seem like health and safety would be passing this particular building in any way, shape or form. But we will take advantage of this teeny tiny little hole here by one-shotting this Poliwhirl, getting ourselves up to level 28 as well. And we'll take on this Spinner Rotator as well, just because he's a very, very easy battle. And I do want to try and get a couple of extra levels in the early game to try and make sure that especially Will goes fairly smoothly. Will is one of the trainers I am fairly terrified of in this challenge. We'll have a little chat with Jazz now. We will fall through the floor, break our ankles again, and pick up this rare candy. Then we'll get the heck out of here. We'll do another quick PowerPoint heal here in Olivine's Pokemon Center. And then we have the very, very quick cycle back to Ecruteak City. This takes around about 7 to 8 seconds, depending on how bad the movement is. And it really does not lose a lot of time at all. We're in the Burnt Tower now. That means we'll plonk on one of our regular repels, and we can take on rival number 3. This time he is going to lead with Haunter, and I have a feeling, you know, we're not going to be able to one-shot this Haunter. So we'll have to see what happens. We can crit. That also works. I'm very happy with a crit. We'll ignite the Magnemite, and then we'll move on to the Zubat. Probably anything's a one-shot with that Zubat, to be fair. And then a Thunderbolt on the Croconaw finishes it off in one shot, and we get through Rival 3 without taking any damage whatsoever. That means we can fall through the floor. We will release the beast now, and we'll get the heck out of here. But we're going straight back in to pick up this HP up, and now that we've got it, we'll take on Morty next. So we've gotten through all of Morty's gym trainers, and that just leaves Morty left to go. We're holding on to the Minceberry to try and make sure that we can get through his Gengar, and we'll start off with the Thunderbolt on the Ghastly. That goes down in one. It's a one-shot on the Haunter as well. Here comes the Gengar. Do we outspeed? Yes, we do. Thank goodness for that. If we didn't outspeed there, we would have been in a little bit of a pickle. But the Minceberry kicked in there and we get the Fog Badge in a time of 21 minutes and 5 seconds. It does go to show doing the Kimono Girls early really can help out a lot of the time, because otherwise I think we would have been in a situation where we would have been in a bit of a loop there at Morty, because we would not have outspared his Gengar. That does mean we can now make our way towards the Lake of Rage. We're going to take on our standard Nido trainers here as well. We might as well. They're very easy KOs for a lot of good experience and stat experience, and we can always escape rope out of here as well. Now, that spinner there we avoided today, he is one of the banes of my life when we do challenge runs. Always seem to mistime my steps around there, even though we have all spinners turned into rotators. I decided to go, by the way, for the spinners into rotators as opposed to spinners dodging you, so that there is still an element of skill involved in avoiding the spinners, because otherwise, if they just turn away from you, there's not really that same level of skill involved. We'll take on the Slowbro as well today, because we do have our Thunderbolt. And we're going to use our last Thunderbolt against this red Gyarados. Hopefully it will be a one-shot, although there is a chance it's a range. But we get the high roll, so it did end up being a one-shot. We'll get the red scale. Never going to think of that again. It's just going to take some bag space. We'll have a chat with Lance, and now we do need to go around to the other part of the Lake of Rage. Managed to get through those 6 or 7 tiles of encounters without anything, so now we can feel a little bit more secure about not getting any more random encounters between here and Cianwood City. We grab the rare candy. We'll also pick up the 2 TMs here to sell them for a little bit of cash money moolah later on in this challenge, and now we can rent a Labra all the way back to Olivine City. We'll plonk on a Super Repel here. Could probably actually combine the movement with the rental Labra there for the Super Repel. Got to remember that for the next challenge we do here in Crystal. And we'll take a trip across the open seas. Not going to bother with Kaylee because we don't have any Thunderbolt PP, but we will now replenish our power points here for the fighting type gym. Before we take on the gym though, we do need to remember to pick up the secret potion. Otherwise we won't be able to face Jazz, and we do need to be able to face Jazz in order to complete the challenge. This should be a fairly easy gym now, so I will skip ahead through the gym trainers and we'll go to Chuck. The gym trainers played out exactly as you would expect. It was a bunch of one-shots. Nothing survived more than one hit from our WEEZING, and now we can take on Chuck, our 5th gym leader together today. Fighting type specialist, led with Primate but went down in 1. And then we'll use a pair of Sludge Bombs against the Poliwrath. Because we resist the fighting type, we didn't need to worry about Dynamic Punch today. That meant we can save on to our Bitterberry for another day. And now that we have our 5 badges, we get access to the Air Balloon. You know what that means if you're a regular here on the channel. It's time for me to do a little bit of housekeeping, and we'll meet back up for our next gym. And that is all the bits and bobs picked up that we need for now, so we are going to reascend the lighthouse, breaking our legs once more, and we'll go and have a little chat with Jazz. She is going to pocket the secret potion as she always does, and we will take chase. We have the escape rope, we can get out of here, and we'll go straight into our 6th gym together. This is Jasmine's flying type? She's not a flying type at all. She's a liar, but she's not a liar with the flyers. This is Jasmine's steel type gym, and she leads with a Magnemite. One shot on the Magnemite would have expected nothing less. It's going to happen to the second one as well. And here comes the Steelix. Probably going to be a range on this thing. We low roll, but that's absolutely fine. We can get the defense drop. She is healing looping now, and we get through first try. That gives us a Mineral Badge in 26 minutes and 42 seconds. With that, we can go all the way back to Mahogany Town, where we'll go straight into this dodgy shop here, and we'll start making our way through the second of 3 rocket sections. As always though, I'm not going to make you sit through it. Let's skip ahead to the end. The rocket section was about as tedious as you would expect, but we are now at the very end of it. We get ourselves a bath plug as well as the Whirlpool HM from Lance here, and we will now leave, never to think of it again. With that, we'll go straight into our next gym together. We're going to start here with Skier Roxanne. We have flamethrowers, so this should be an easy one-shot for a lot of special stat experience, and then we'll do the quick loop-de-loop to take on Pryce. What on earth was that movement there? There we go, here's Pryce. We're in front of him at last. This is going to be our 7th gym together today. He is, of course, an Ice-type specialist, led with Seal that went down in a single Thunderbolt. Probably going to be a range on the Dugong. We low roll, unfortunately. That seems to be the order of the day, but we should then one-shot the Pile of Swine. So no healing loop for Pryce today. That means we get the Glacier Badge in a time of 31 minutes and 14 seconds. And with that, we can leave and we can start heading further east towards Blackthorn City. That does mean we're going to take a trip through the ice path. I am going to pick up that Max Repel. Make sure that we've got the bag space for the Max Repels that we're about to buy in just a moment. There's a very nice elixir to pick up. It's very easy and en route, and it means you don't have to avoid any of those trainers here on Route 44. We can now go into the ice path where we don't need to pick up the Whirlpool HM, the Waterfall HM rather, because we have the ladder from the Tojo Falls, which acts in exactly the same way. And now, will I be able to do the strength puzzle today? I'm not even going to try. Don't feel confident enough today with my movement. You've seen how many times I've bonked things so far today. We are not going to even risk it. However, we will now get this Nevermelt Ice. I do like having Rock Smash for this area here. Does save on a teeny tiny bit of movement. There are some very good items we can pick up in the ice path as well. We'll grab this iron. Someone's leaving their appliances all over the place. We'll grab the protein and we'll also pick up this PP up here. With that, we get out of here, we use the air balloon to get ourselves back to Blackthorn proper, and we will buy ourselves 12 Max Repels. That's all the repels we need now for the rest of this challenge. We'll grab this elixir here, we will try and avoid this spinner. I'm getting better at that at long last. Grab the nugget, and we need to then do a tiny bit of awkward movement here to go and get this PP up. And because I'm not 100% confident about certain battles, we'll get our second Periscure Berry. But that's everything we need to get back to Goldenrod. And now we are about a third of the way through the rocket section here in Goldenrod City. That means it's time to take on the 4th and penultimate rival battle. This time he's going to lead with Golbat. And we have Thunderbolt for the Golbat, so it's a nice and simple one-shot to get us started. He sends out Magnemite next. We've got Flamethrower, so we can knock it out in one as well. And we might as well continue Flamethrowering against the Haunter. Sneasel comes out, and yet again, Flamethrower is proving to be super effective there. And the last Pokemon is for Alligator. We'll use Thunderbolt. We get a very clean one-shot there, so another damageless rival battle. And that means we can continue our way through this horrible rocket section. It really is such a slog every single time we do the challenge together. There's no real peril, there's no real risk. It's just a bunch of trainers who are here to waste our time. So I'll tell you what, let's skip to the very end of it. And now we have made it once again to the final executive at the very top of the radio tower. This should be a nice and easy battle. We'll start off with a Sludge Bomb against the Houndour. We'll swap to Hidden Power Ice for the Coughing, and then we'll swap back to Sludge Bomb for the Houndoom. 3 one-shots to finish off the Rockets once and for all. Thank goodness for that. We don't have to think about the Rockets yet again for another challenge now. So we can now leave here once this director stops yapping. We don't need the pink bow today, we don't need Sunny Day, so that means we just need to go and grab the radio card. The answer, of course, is 11212. That will get us the radio card, and that means we can get past that Snorlax in Kanto. And now that we've done that, we will go into Blackthorn City, where our only destination is our final Jotonian gym. This is Clair's Dragon-type gym, and we're going to try and avoid using Hidden Power as much as we can during this gym. If we can get away with using Sludge Bomb, that will be perfect, because that means we don't have to get the super effective text boxes, which do waste so much time during these battles. However, for something like Seadra, it's kind of unavoidable. It's got a lot of physical bulk, so a Thunderbolt to the face is probably the right play. Now we have made it all the way through all of Clair's gym trainers, so let's take on Clair herself. She is our final gym leader in Johto. Dragon-type specialist leads with Dragonair. Sludge Bomb's a one-shot on the first, that means it's going to be a one-shot on the second, and I reckon you know it's going to be a one-shot on the third as well. Now, as for the Kingdra, probably going to be a two-shot, so we'll start off with a Thunderbolt. She goes for Surf, that's fine. We can finish it off with a Sludge Bomb now. and we get through without the healing loop. Healing loops are some of the things that waste a lot of time here in the challenge runs, so if we can avoid them at all costs, we are going to save so much time. Now, in order to get Clair's badge, we do need to face Cool Trainer Darren here. We don't like him on this channel after he knocked out our Cargo, but we get rid of him in one shot. Going to pick up the calcium because I'm going to do one last vitamin shot before making our way to the Pokemon League here. And now we will enter into the shrine, where once again we do double 1-2-1-2, and that will allow Clair to enter into the Dragon's Den, procuring our badge to us, and we will get our final Clair time of 42 minutes and 40 seconds exactly. That's not bad at all considering that WEEZING doesn't have an offensive stat over 100. I'm happy with that time so far, and that does mean we can now escape the Dragon's Den and make our way towards the Pokemon League. And so now, on our way to Victory Road, I did pick up an extra rare candy. I got the Mount Mortar one because it's not too much for time loss, and I think one extra rare candy might come in fairly useful, you know, for the Pokemon League. And now we're going to take on a couple of optional trainers on routes to Victory Road. I always like taking on the Psychic, and I also like taking on Rena as well. They're both very good trainers to take on. I've started actually battling this Psychic as well with his Espeon as well, because it's incredibly good stat experience, incredibly good experience points, and he is a very simple battle. We'll do a very quick heal here in the Heal House, and we got caught by Joyce today, so we'll do a quick rewind and make sure that we don't get caught by Joyce today. And I think the last trainer we'll take on is going to be Beth. She is mandatory, unfortunately, but we should be fine against her Rapidash. We comfortably outspeed and we one-shot. And now we are going to pick up this Max Elixir here, and we'll do the loop-de-loop into Victory Road. The repel wears off just in time for us to stick another one on as we go through the door. And I did sell the HP up earlier from the Burnt Tower, so we'll pick up our secondary one here, and we can now engage the rival in one last battle. He's going to lead this time with Sneasel, and that to me is just a reason to use the Sludge Bomb to the face. Goes down in one, and we'll do the same against his Kadabra. Thank goodness Kadabra has no physical defense. We'll use Hidden Power against the Golbat, that will be a one-shot. We will then go to Flamethrower for the Magneton, again it's going to be a one-shot. We will continue Flamethrowering against the Haunter as we grow up to level 50, and then we've got a Thunderbolt for the Feraligatr. Damageless Rival 5, the last few rival battles have been damageless, and that means we can make our way in to Victory Road. We will go and buy just 2 full restores because we're poor, unfortunately. Can we sell anything? No, we can't. We're going to be running with just 2 full restores today. And we will now take a look at our stats. We're level 50 with 154 HP. We're holding the Nenmel Ice with Sludge Bomb, Hidden Power Ice, Flamethrower and Thunderbolts. 130 in attack, 155 in defense, 126 in special attack, 111 in special defense, and 102 in speed. Now, in terms of this league, I think we'll have a fairly smooth ride through it. We might end up with a bit of a tug of war against Koga, because we are both the poison type, so his strats won't work, but we've not got very strong moves against him. I think Karen could go either way, as she always does. We've got Hidden Power Ice, we've got Thunderbolt, Lance will be easy. So I think overall we're going to have a fairly good time of it. So there is no time like the present, let's get on with the Pokemon League. Our first league member is Will, he's a Psychic type specialist and he leads with a Xatu. We've got a Thunderbolt for the Xatu, it'll go down in one, and then we'll move on to Sludge Bomb for the Jinx. She's got no physical defense at all, so it was always guaranteed to be a one-shot. We'll Thunderbolt the Slowbro, but we don't quite one-shot, so we'll have to get rid of it in 2 instead. We'll continue Thunderbolting against the second Xatu. We grow to 51, and the last Pokemon is Executor. It goes down in a single Sludge Bomb, and you would think that we would have the type advantage over Will, considering we knocked all of his Pokemon out in almost one shot and took no damage, but no, we were technically weak to that battle. Koga's next. We are neutral because he's a poison type specialist, but he's got some very flammable Pokemon on his team. So we'll start off with Flamethrowers on his Fortress, his Venomoth and his Ariados, and then we'll move on to the Muck. This Muck is probably going to minimalize, so it just depends on the RNG. We've missed one, that's absolutely fine, and we move on to the Crobat. We're either going to hit or we're not going to hit with this. We high roll and we grow to level 52. And that is Koga all defeated. We can move ourselves on to Bruno. I am just going to use a very quick super potion here, and we will take him on. Bruno's a fighting type specialist who leads with Hitmontop. Now, we're not going to one-shot the Hitmontop, so we're going to go for a flamethrower in case we got a lucky burn. Didn't happen, but we'll take minimal damage there from the Hitmontop. We can then move on to the Onyx, and we've got a hidden power, and that is very unexpected for Bruno there. Sludge Bomb should one-shot the Hitmonlee because it's not as bulky as Hitmontop. And then probably going to be a range on the Hitmonchan. Yeah, didn't get burnt though, so it doesn't really mean too much. It's going to be a two-shot, I think, on this Machamp. Using Foresights for no good reason there, and we get ourselves through Bruno. After Bruno comes Karen, and I'm not feeling too good about this battle, but then I never do feel too good about this battle. We'll use a HP up. We do have a bit of area in the bag that we will hold, and I reckon at this point we should use our Elixir. We'll save the max Elixirs for the Kanto section. So we'll now engage Karen in battle, and we'll see how it goes. She leads with Umbreon. It's going to be a two-shot. Sand attack has failed. That's perfect, and we grow up to level 53. It's probably going to be a range here on the Vileplume, but we high roll and we knock it out in one. Gengar we've got nothing for, but it is going to swear at us. No, it's not. It's going to use Spite, even better. We don't need to worry at all about this battle now. We can Sludge Bomb the Murkrow. It will go down in one. And then possibly a range on the Houndoom. Yeah, it's a range on the Houndoom. We've been burnt. That is very annoying. That could be devastating, but we poisoned it. Aha, our status condition is better than your status condition, and that means we can get through Karen on our first try. Right, last time. Are we going to swap to the Nemma Ice? Probably should, just to be safe. Does mean as well we can save our rare candies for the red section. Let's take on Lancey as the liar with the Flyers. He's going to lead with Gyarados. Thunderbolt is a one-shot on the Gyarados. Wouldn't expect anything different there. And we can move on to Dragonite number 1. We've got hidden power purely for this battle, really. We get rid of it in one shot, so he sends out another, and exactly the same thing happens. We can move on to the Aerodactyl, and Thunderbolt is possibly a range? Who knows? No, it's a one-shot. Thunderbolt on the Zard, maybe a range. Again, who knows? It is not a range. It is a range, rather, but we knock it out in two. And then we've got the final Dragonite here. We can knock it out in a single hidden power, and we get through Lance in a time of 50 minutes and 16 seconds. We are getting really good at getting sub-hour league on these challenges. It took us a while to get there, but now we are getting fairly consistent with it. Let's take a look at our final Hall of Fame time. It's 50 minutes and 31 seconds for our WEEZING. Probably could have saved about a minute through Johto if ranges went our way, but it wasn't meant to be on the day there. But now let's take a look at our midpoint leaderboards. And that time of 50 minutes and 16 seconds puts us in 3rd place on our 4 moves midpoint leaderboard. Just ahead of Tentacruel and just behind Tauros there. That does push poor old Stantler into page 2. And now we have 5 Pokemon there on the 2nd page. If we take a look at our overall Crystal video leaderboard, you can see that we are in the top 10 again. 9th place, just ahead of Archeops there and just behind Tauros. Do remember that our all Crystal leaderboard contains every single category of run that we do against the clock in Pokemon Crystal, so 4 moves will always have a natural advantage to be towards the top of the leaderboard because we start with the stronger moves. Still, it is a vast improvement on our last WEEZING midpoint time, which is going to be lost somewhere in the mix of this leaderboard, probably towards the latter half. WEEZING was one of the first Pokemon we ran together here on the channel, and it was a very long time ago. There we go, 139th place. So we've saved around about 17 minutes with our 4 move setting for our WEEZING. Don't forget though, this is only half of the story. There's another 8 gym badges plus a red fight left to come, so don't you dare go anywhere, because Kanto is next. And now we are rejoining the action as we always do here in Vermilion City, where the first thing we'll do is grab a rare candy from the chairman of the Pokemon fan club. And with that safely tucked away in our bag for another challenge, we'll get on with the gauntlet of Cantonian gyms. And we might as well start right here in Vermilion. we have Lieutenant Surge's electric-type gym to deal with. We've got to get through Gentleman Gregory first with his sheep and rat, but that was a fairly easy battle, and we can move on to Surge himself. He's our first Cantonian leader. He is an electric-type specialist who leads with Raichu. We can one-shot the Raichu with Sludge Bomb, and we knock it out in one. Here comes the Electabuzz. Again, it's going to be a one-shot as we grow up to level 56. We can also one-hit the first Electrode. Is he going to send out Magneton next? Yes, he is, just to be awkward. Meaning we actually lose a bit of time because we've got to swap back from one move to the other. But we do get through Surge. Thunder Badge acquired in 52:35. Now, because we are not particularly fast, I'm going to save Sabrina until after we have done both Erica and Janine. Quite often I think doing Sabrina second in Kanto will be quicker, but I think in this instance it's probably not going to be worth it. Plus, we have the type advantage to Erica's gym, so it should be a fairly trivial affair. We're going to start off with a Sludge Bomb against this Victory Bell. We will also Sludge Bomb this Vileplume, and yet again we get 2 one-shots to get us started, and we've only got 2 more mandatory trainers left to go. I do quite often think, you know, of grass not being weak to poison because there are a lot of grass poison types. However, in this gym, there aren't actually that many grass poison types, so we're dealing an awful lot of damage to all of these Pokemon. Feel sorry for the Parasect, and the Execute there, probably doing well over double their health of damage each turn. And now we can move on to Erica. She is our second Cantonian leader, Grass-type specialist, leads with Tangela. As we'd expect, it's a one-shot on the Tangela. We'll use Hidden Power on the Victory Bell, guarantee the one-shot there, and then we will swap back to Sludge Bomb for the Blossom. That brings us on to her Jumpluff. Yet again, we'll use Sludge Bomb. We'll get the one-shot, and we defeat Erica in 54 minutes and 3 seconds. Let's get ourselves out of here now, and we'll take a very quick cycle down to Janine. I really do like Cycling Road. It's a very fast bit of movement once you get used to it, and as soon as you get used to not catching the one trainer who's guarding the bottom of Cycling Road, it goes even quicker. We get rid of Birdkeeper Bob there, and we almost get an encounter in the grass, but we'll now make our way in to gym number 3. This is Janine. She is a poison-type specialist here in Fuchsia City, and she leads with Crobat. Taking no risks against Crobat, we're going to use a Thunderbolt, and we'll use a Thunderbolt against her Venomoth that she sent out second there, just to throw us. We'll use a third Thunderbolt against the Weezing, we'll use a fourth against Weezing number 2, and then why not change the habit of a lifetime by doing Thunderbolts against the Ariados. Soul Badge acquired in 54:59. That means we can now leave here, and we'll go back to Saffron City. Can't remember if I dipped in, so I will do a very quick fly there. Gonna take a heal, and we are going to go and take on Sabrina now. She lives in here. There's no sense in holding off until after Rock Tunnel. We might as well get 4 gyms done as quickly as we possibly can. She leads with Espeon. We'll Sludge Bomb the Espeon, and it will go away straight away. We've got Mr. Mime next, and yet again Sludge Bomb is a one-shot. We are going to outspeed this Alakazam, and yet again we're going to one-shot it. We grow to 59, and we defeat Sabrina to obtain the Marsh Badge in 55 minutes and 41 seconds. With that, we can then take the trip right and east through to Rock Tunnel. And we have made it out the other side of the Rock Tunnel. We can now go to the power plants, where we'll have a little chat with the absolutely terrible manager in here. Doesn't know what on earth he's doing running a power plant if he can get a machine part taken away from him with so many people watching there. And that does mean we'll now fly back to Saffron City, where we'll go north into Cerulean City, and I'm going to try and do the quick Cerulean movement here. We do need to pop our head into the gym to get this Rocket's Grunts to go onto Nugget Bridge and then make Misty go on her date. And you know what that means. It is now time for Nugget Bridge. And I'm kind of coming into this Nugget Bridge with no real plan with what to talk about. Quite often I have a subject in mind, but today I'm drawing a bit of a blank. I'm trying to mentally prepare for the next video that, if all goes to plan, will be a fairly large video, so that's taking up quite a lot of my brain space. but I am really enjoying, actually, this new editing style that we're kind of incorporating, where we're doing far fewer cuts and far fewer clips, and we're just letting the conversation flow. I've always wanted my long-form content to feel somewhere in between an edited video and a stream, where you can just stick it on in the background, relax to it, kind of get an idea of what's going on, because I'll mention the things that are important going on screen, but you don't have to give it your full focus, and it's just a little bit of background something to keep you company for an hour or so each time. And I think it's been going really well. I am much preferring this to our very, very short videos that we did a year or so ago. Those 17 to 20 minute videos just didn't really hit the mark for me. I mentioned it to a couple of friends where I rewatched some videos recently, and I was thinking, no, the content there is far too disjointed. We're going from one place to another with no real rhyme or reason as to how we got there in the first place, and you don't really get the full experience with the Pokemon. But now we get the whole bloomin' thing from start to finish. We're going to use an ether here on Sludge Bomb as we air balloon back to Cerulean City, where we will now take on our next gym leader. This is Misty. She is a water type specialist, and she's going to lead with Golduck. We're just going to spam Sludge Bomb to get us started here, and why change it for the Quagsire? We poisoned it. I knew it was going to go for Amnesia, so we were guaranteed the two-shot there. Are we going to one-shot this Lapras? No, we are not, but she's gone for Rain Dance. That's fine. We can then Sludge Bomb this last Starmie, and we defeat Misty in a time of 59 minutes and 20 seconds. Now, we must not forget the machine part. There have been many, many challenges where I've gotten to the power plant again and realised that I do not have the machine part in tow. So I'm going to be very, very careful there to make sure that we get the machine part. We can stick on the Max Repel now, and we will do the manager's job, and the police's job for that matter, for them here in Kanto. We will be responsible for getting the power back on. We get Zap Cannon, which WEEZING can learn, but I couldn't justify it on our 4 moves learn set no matter how much I wanted it on there. And we will now go and have a little chat with the director of this radio tower. I'm fairly certain you know that he is the one that plotted to take over the Johto radio tower so that he could expand his own personal business into Johto. Let me know, do you think that's a viable thing that he might have done? Or am I just being mean to even more NPCs? Because I can, really. Let's get through this Snorlax now, and let's get ourselves through to the western part of Kanto, doing some absolutely atrocious movement there. Does mean we're going to have a little bit of a struggle avoiding 3 drill, but we do. And we'll get ourselves in to gym number 6 of 8 here in Kanto. Starting off with Camper Jerry, who is going to be running a Sand Slash. We'll use Hidden Power, we'll knock it out in 1. And we can move on to Brock. Brock is a Rock-type specialist who's going to lead with Graveler. Thank goodness Graveler has no special defense, because we can knock it out in 1. We'll do the same against the Rhyhorn. Are you going to send your fossils out next? Yes, you are, so we'll swap to Thunderbolt. Guaranteed one-shot on the Omastar there. Back to Hidden Power for the Onix, and we will use a Thunderbolt on the Kabutops. Very easy battle there against Brock, and we get the Boulder Badge in 1 hour and 1 minute and 12 seconds. I read Misty split again there, don't know why. But no, it is 1:01:12 for Brock. I just parked myself in front of a 3 drill there. That was really bad movement. I need to get my new controller. It's arriving tomorrow at time of recording. This one really is a little bit knackered now, but I'm not surprised. I have done goodness knows how many challenges on this controller so far, so I'm surprised that it has lasted the better part of 2 years. I do tend to go through about a controller every 20 months or so here, doing the challenges, but then we do use the D-pad and the face buttons an awful lot in these challenges. There's a lot of button presses, a lot of movement, and these controllers are mostly designed for the analog sticks. The D-pad is kind of secondary on them. Let's now take on Blaine. Blaine is our penultimate gym leader today. He is a Fire-type specialist, leads with Magcargo. We'll use Thunderbolt against the Magcargo. We don't one-shot it, but we can knock it out in 2. And then we'll move on to Sludge Bomb for the Bumhead Fireduck. That goes down in 1, and we can use another Sludge Bomb against the Rapidash. level 62 acquired, and more importantly, we've got the Volcano badge in 102.27. Let us now rent elaborate our way back to Viridian City. We should probably also use a max elixir, and just for a little bit of safety, we'll swap to the leftovers for the blue battle, because it's time for our final gym leader. This is Blue. He is a mixed type specialist, and he's going to lead with Pidgeot. We've got Thunderbolt for the Pidgeot. We'll knock it out in one, and we move on to Alakazam. We don't outspeed the Alakazam, goodness me. We get hit very hard by Psychic there, but we do knock it out in one. How about this Rhydon? Can we knock it out in one? Yes, we can. Thank goodness for that. We have Thunderbolt for the Gyarados. This is going to be some passive healing here. We can get rid of it, and we move on to Arcanine. We'll use Sludge Bomb against the Arcanine. Flamethrower hits, doesn't knock us out, and more importantly, doesn't burn. We grow to level 63. Here comes Executor. We can defeat it in one single hit, and we get through Blue on our first try in 103.31. Ooh, that was a little bit scary with the Alakazam there. I'm very glad that we did get through. We will now use a full restore and a max elixir, and we'll make our way over to Pallet's Town. Here in Pallet's, we are going to have a little chat with Professor Oak. He's going to complain that we've only got one Pokemon in our Pokedex and is wondering why he spent all that money on his dex for us. But we don't care. We are here to defeat Red in the fastest possible time. To do that, we do need to get ourselves over to Silver Cave. We will go over the hardest ledge in all of the game, and we'll make our way further and further there. We are going to use the air balloon trick here to try and save a little bit of time getting into the proper part of Silver Cave. And now we're going to pick up one last rare candy. As always, I will now rare candy off screen and make our way through that first dark room in Silver Cave, and we'll reconvene for Red. And we have now made it through the other end of that dark room here in Silver Cave, and we have used 9 rare candies for this Red battle. He leads with Pikachu. We're not going to outspeed the Pikachu annoyingly, so we are going to have to do a little bit of the Charm Shuffle here. That is going to be fairly annoying. In fact, we are going to move our Sludge Bomb into slot number 2, and I think we'll hold on to the Quick Claw as well for this battle. We'll see if that makes any difference at all. We are starting with the Pikachu, and yet again we take a reset. We do have quite a high chance of getting through Charm, but we're not getting the luck we need at the moment. We will eventually get it, but we do need a fair amount of luck in this battle. Oh, this is proving to be a very, very tough battle for WEEZING here. We've had a very good amount of luck up to this point, but now there's not much we can really do to get through this battle easily. I was trying there to get a paralysis off on the Espeon, so we could at least attack it in 2 turns, and then maybe think about doing something else for the rest of the battle. We've managed to get a high roll there on the Espeon, and even that is not enough to get through. We might be playing for a Quick Claw crit here against the Espeon. That could be the only way we get through this battle. It will happen eventually, but it might take a very long time to do. I'm just going to keep on rolling the dice here, and eventually we will get that luck. Yeah, we really aren't getting the luck we need at the moment, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap to a pre-recorded voiceover, or should I say a voiceover in post for this section of the challenge, just because it's going to be a lot of not really saying much at all while I try and get the luck that we need. Now, it took us a while, but we did eventually get that luck. We start off with a Charm Dodge against the Pikachu. We know that we can one-shot it, and we are on to the Espeon. We eventually got the Quick Claw crit that we needed to get through that, and we are on to Snorlax. Snorlax is a bit of a reprieve, or at least he should have been if he went for Amnesia. That did mean that we were only on 163 as the Venusaur comes out, and because we're running the Quick Claw, we're not passively regaining any health at all. 2 flamethrowers to the face took care of Venusaur, and we are on to the Charizard. We had to get even more luck here at the Zard. We needed to paralyze and or crit because that flamethrower would have knocked us out in one. We're on to the Blastoise now. I was fishing for a poison, it didn't happen, but thank goodness Thunderbolt was enough to one-shot it in the end. We grew to level 73 and we defeated Red in a time of 1 hour 16 minutes and 34 seconds overall. Let's now take a look at the leaderboards. Red was always going to be a toughie for our WEEZING, but we did still just about scrape on to the first page of our 4 moves leaderboard in 10th place there. That has knocked Stantler down onto page 2, completing our set of 5 Pokemon there for our 4 moves, and we've already done 15 challenges with 4 moves. If we take a look at the overall leaderboard, we are on page number 3 there, in between Walrein and our Stantler 4 moves challenge, just 6 seconds separating those two actually. So we are at least consistent, if nothing else, when it comes to the tough Red battles. But yeah, I think WEEZING on a better day with better luck, maybe with slightly different moves, could have gotten a little bit quicker. But I think we'd have been sacrificing an easier Red for a harder Lance, maybe a harder Jasmine, harder battle somewhere else. But that is it for this one. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, make sure to leave a like on this video. It really does help out more than you could imagine. If you've got any feedback, by the way, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. If you want to get notified about these challenges so that you never miss one, you can always subscribe to the channel. If you want to see them, by the way, a little bit early, you can join the channel membership and become a HM friend, and then you get access to the videos literally as soon as they are uploaded. But until next time, I'll say thank you all so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure as always, and I'll catch you all very, very soon.